keeping this up.
Bam, 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 bam. Bonus.
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 Yeah, that's the tone we want to set for this.
Alright, here's the bonus for the Verbal Active episode. You guys still got Jason, Brian, and Sinzin, me, myself.
I'm Jason.
My name is Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Bonus introduction done. Alright, let's go into the bonus episode.
All right.
So you wanted to talk about
Protests.
HK, yeah.
You
We
want
should
to talk about
protest.
that first, or you want to talk about Toronto Raptors first?
Oh. Yeah, Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so
We
when I initially
ignore.
watched the game, there was like half a second left.
For
And
anyone that's unaware, we're talking about the NBA Finals Championship.
NBA Finals Championship, Game 6, Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors,
Yep.
Oakland.
Yep.
And Toronto
Won.
won. Spoilers. If anyone was.
Is there? Yeah, I guess there is spoilers. For
Is sports spoilers?
Yeah, you can.
I don't know. I'm always afraid now that people
Yeah,
are so
no,
sensitive. But okay, so I was watching the game. I was playing volleyball, so we stopped our volleyball game to watch the basketball game. They were playing it at the gym.
Right.
And as we were watching, we were watching the last 2 minutes, and that last 2 minutes lasts forever because generally when that happens, everyone just starts fouling each other and timeouts just kept getting called, and it's a long delay. So there's like half a second left, and basically Toronto has the ball, Kawhi has the ball, and he's shooting a 3-throw, and they're already up 1 point. So it's like 112 to 111, right? And so essentially, and he landed that basket, so essentially he won. So then I text my friend like, "Oh, Toronto won by 1 point," because that's all I watched. And I just stopped watching. I didn't realize they played more. Like that part of that second, they played another bit where they got fouled and scored another one.
No, he got fouled off of that.
Yeah, he got fouled
He got
again.
fouled off that, so then they put out 0.9 seconds back onto the clock.
Right.
And he took his foul shots.
Yeah.
He took his free throws, right? And then the game ended after that.
Yeah.
0.9
So
seconds.
he got more. He got an extra 3 throw
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah. So that's why I always thought, oh, they only won by 1.
Okay, I see. That's why. Yeah,
Well,
but-
Warriors only won by 1 for the game previous to that.
Yeah. Game
so-
5 they won by 1.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? Weird, because I'm in that chat too, and I thought what you said was, "Oh, I must have watched a different game then." Yeah, that's what you said.
That's
That's,
what-
why.
yeah,
That's
that's
why
why I
all of us
thought
were
it.
like, "What the fuck? What are you talking about? What?"
They aired a different game for him, you know.
Yeah, so
they do
that's-
it based on region.
No one was laughing at you for that. You know, like, "Oh yeah, you won by 1." People were laughing at you because they're like, "What the fuck, Bizarro game were you watching?"
It was either to say I watched another game than to elaborate what I did.
Be money exposed. Be money exposed.
That's my explanation
Oh god.
to the few people in my chat.
This bonus is for you guys.
Probably the majority of our audience.
No, we do have an avid fan. James was was asking me throughout the entire last week. He was like saying, "When are you guys recording the next podcast? I need it bad."
Jesus.
He needs it bad. So yeah, here you go. You know.
Oh yeah. So anyways,
Satisfying your need.
Other
he
than
gets a
that-
shout out and a bonus. That must really get him going then.
Yes.
another article I read, Jeremy Lin, first Asian American to win an NBA finals. So that's a huge step for
No other
for us
Asian
Asian
has-
Americans.
Huge sits on the bench.
Yeah,
Oh.
essentially he played 1 minute on game 3 and that's about it.
Thank you, Jeremy Lin.
So his
Yeah.
contribution was well
Because
recognized
of
by
you,
me.
Man.
I will be able to tell my future kids how great us as a race are.
Well, back then wasn't Yao Ming like the huge one that we all looked up to back in the day? I mean, we had to look up to him because he was so tall. But
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 7 feet tall.
So he was
Yeah.
pretty. He played.
he played. Yeah, that's the same with Jeremy Lin. He
Well, no,
he played.
okay, yeah. You could say he played, but he, you know, he wasn't.
I would say he did more than Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
He was
Oh, I
actually
see.
like a
More than
key
Jeremy.
role because, you know, he's so freaking tall.
Yeah, yeah. Jeremy wasn't. He didn't have the same genetics.
No.
The
certainly.
genetic.
No.
Oh, isn't it?
Not to shit on him. I mean, like, well, there's a reason. Somebody has to get benched, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only 5 players.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Most
Somebody-
people are going to
somebody's
be
not
on the
gonna-
bench.
But to think he only played a minute more than I did.
Right?
I mean, where's my freaking huge paycheck and
He gets
championship
everything
ring?
and you get nothing.
Yeah, right?
And you guys shared the same birthday. I mean, do you guys get?
Owned. Fucking one step closer for credit card fraudsters to try to get a hold of Jason's finances.
Do you ever get mistaken? Be like, oh, are you Jeremy? And then you're like, no, I'm Jason.
No, I get mistaken for unknown Asian people.
Oh yeah.
As is per Asian people. They all look the same, you know.
We all look the
Oh, sorry, fine.
We all look the same.
Even though we don't look anything
Solidarity.
alike. Terrible. Anything else about NBA?
Anything else before we jump into the big topic?
No, just congrats to the Raptors if they're listening.
Yes, congratulations, Canada.
Yes, Canada.
Yes.
Canada's known.
It's Toronto's first, or the Raptors' first championship.
Is this Canada's first?
Well, Toronto's the only basketball in the NBA.
There used to be more teams.
Yeah,
Vancouver used to have a team.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, the Grizzlies, I believe it was.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
If you wanna, we'll give you a shout out on Twitter.
God. You're so ashamed of yourself.
I am.
You're just selling out.
For fuck's sakes. This is a bad idea.
I guess on lesser news, the Blues won for hockey against Boston Bruins.
Yeah, St. Louis. Yeah,
St. Louis, and this is their first one as well. So
yes.
It's a year for upsets today.
St. Louis is just the city in general is like, and not a very pleasant city to be in. I think they have like one of the highest crime rates and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it's surpassed by Chicago nowadays.
Yeah, I mean it's up there still, along with like Detroit probably.
They're probably just like, what? What did we win in? What the fuck is hockey?
But they actually do have a good team, so good on them.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I kind of lost interest.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch much
But
of the NBA.
it's like 4-1, right? So they dominated.
Oh yeah, they won pretty definitively.
Yeah.
And it was away game. They were in Boston.
Oh.
Right?
It's a nicer place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boston's nice.
Yeah. They won. Okay, yeah, upsets. The year of upsets.
Year of upsets, yeah. So Hong Kong, people are upset.
Good segue.
All right, so how do we do this? Will we do like a BBC question and answer period, or you
Oh yeah, okay.
want me to just fucking just talk nonstop for the next?
Well, Jason, how much do you know about this Hong Kong
I
protest
know
here?
the basics.
All right,
That's
how
what
did it start? And then Zinzin, you can correct them.
What a terrible format.
Well, this is the best way because
Actually, Jason.
we need to
Yeah,
know.
make me look like an idiot.
We need to know what is the common knowledge of this incident.
Here, I'll save Jason on this. All right, I'll give the background. Jesus Christ. He's just put Jason on the spot. Poor guy.
Why
All
are
right.
people upset in
All
Hong
right,
Kong?
so if people are watching the news, and the news is Hong Kong is up in big protests right now. Anywhere from up to 280,000 people to 1 million people are protesting on the streets.
That's a really big range.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well,
Like-
there's been a lot
like-
of like.
Who are counting these people? And
It's
like, why
it's,
is
it's just a numbers. It's like a who we want to believe game. The activists,
It's like
protesters,
guess how many jelly beans are in the jar. Kind
Well,
of.
this is the
So then-
protesters. Obviously, they say, yeah, fucking 1 million of us came out. The police say, no, I only counted 280,000. So it's
But there's
whatever.
pictures
So you
and
would-
video proof that there's more than
A
few
lot of
thousand.
people.
So
Yeah.
you would take the
Right.
average then, right? Like,
Yeah, sure. It's more give or take if they take the average because
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, even in the jelly bean example, if you take the average of everyone's guesses, that's pretty close to what the
either
number of
way,
jelly beans is.
it's
Tons
a
of
big
people,
number.
yes.
That's what you take away from it. Whether it's 280,000 to 1 million, it's a big number. Hong Kong only has like 7 million people.
Well,
right?
enough to stop roads, stop.
Enough to disrupt the normal everyday life. But
Yes.
they're in protest because of this thing called the extradition law. What this is kind of an amendment to their existing extradition processes right now. What started this? And I'm surprised that a lot of English language news don't actually talk about this. What started this entire extradition law process and why they wanted this bill was because a Hong Kong couple, a boy and a girl, went to go vacation in Taiwan, and then the boy murdered the girl in Taiwan and then fled back to Hong Kong. He even confessed to the murder, and the Taiwanese authorities, got like overwhelming evidence that he murdered his girlfriend in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, and flew back. Here is the big fucking problem. Taiwan does not have a law that can they can't charge him for these laws that were committed outside of Hong Kong. and that was the big loophole. So the police wanted to charge him for murder, they can't. So they tried to, so they could only throw at what sticks at him, which was basically, I think it was like a fraud charge or something. It's something really small. So he's serving 1 year jail time and he'll get out. And they can't charge him for a murder that was, he confessed to, and there was evidence to it, overwhelming evidence to it in Taiwan. And this is all related because Taiwan and Hong Kong does not have this extradition sort of thing going on. So then in the Hong Kong Legislative Council, they pushed this bill, the extradition law or amendments or whatever, the new extradition law, to make it so that if someone from Hong Kong or whoever goes and commits a crime outside of Hong Kong, and the like the other area or country court have like a warrant for for a charges laid against them, they can be extradited to that country to face punishment for crimes committed.
This reminds me of The Dark Knight, when that Asian guy
Yeah.
committed a fraud. It's like,
Out
out
of your jurisdiction.
And then he went to Hong Kong.
It's a different
And now,
thing.
don't we just send a Batman to get him, bring him back to Taiwan?
No, you can't because.
Well, Batman did it outside the law too.
Yeah, that's what Taiwan should do.
That's a fucking movie. You can't do that in real life. If real life, Batman flew over in that one C-130, it would have gotten shot down. It's in Chinese airspace, right? Like in real life, if that happened in real life, you would have gotten shot down, right? So anyways, since there's no real life Batman in this world, and this in the real world, this is what's going on. Yeah, this is the whole extradition law. Now the reason why they're protesting is because in Hong Kong there's like it's kind of like a fucking, what would it be, like the popular mood, I guess. The hip thing to do is to just be against anything Chinese, so anti-Chinese everything, and they're the boogeyman, and so anything that seems like they touch, a lot of the young people especially will protest and be just angry about it. So this extradition law does cover mainland China as well, because Hong Kong and China, for those that don't know, this is getting way basic, but it's under this system called one country and two systems. Just based out of historical necessity, Hong Kong for a while was separated from China, right? It was under British rule for like a long time, almost 100 years.
Well, wasn't that from the opium?
Just because of the opium wars, like more than 100 years ago, right? It was a whole thing. British tried to. It was basically like the national version of a drug dealer trying to push drugs in.
At the time, 100 years sounded like forever until it came up, and you're like, oh shit, what do we do? 1997.
1841, the British, forced the Qing Dynasty, which was the government of China at the time, to basically cede a whole bunch of shit, right? They were way stronger, their ships were way stronger, China was really weak back then, so basically strong-armed Hong Kong, and they held on to Hong Kong for 100-something years, right? So there's a lot of stuff developed differently over those 100 years. And then when Hong Kong returned to China in 1997, everybody was cognizant of the fact that Hong Kong's been away for 100 years. You're going to have like a buffer period or transition time, right? So then at that time, China was like saying, okay, let's just give them 50 years where they keep the exact wording was keep the capitalist system in Hong Kong.
Was that China giving them, or was that British
China
saying
giving
like,
them,
hey, you should give?
No, and that's another nuance that people have this wrong idea that Britain should come in and help, or Britain can do something about it.
Right.
Which in reality they can't. They couldn't back then. They can't now. I'll get to that later. But basically, it was China itself kind of deciding, sure, 50 years. Like, it was with negotiation with Britain, Britain saying like, oh, maybe you should give them some time, and China say, okay, let's give them 50 years. You agree? Yes, we do. Yeah, that sounds good. So
it's almost like a foster parent returning a child.
It's a little bit sort of, but the background was
they're like, we treat him really well, but hey, he likes this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like he likes it like this, so just to make sure. And then the birth parent, right?
The birth parent.
They're like, yeah. For a long time, the foster parent. See, but the history is different. When they were talking about returning Hong Kong back then in 1984, the basic premise was China came to them, At the time, the Chinese leader was Deng Xiaoping. The British leader was Margaret Thatcher. I'm just gonna go through this real quick. Deng Xiaoping said, "Oh, by the way, you're gonna honor that agreement, right? That you're gonna Hong Kong was leased, quote unquote, leased from the Opium Wars by Britain for quote unquote like 100 years. Like I think Hong Kong Island or whatever the fuck, right? So they're like, you're gonna honor this treaty or whatnot, this like token treaty. You're like, that means you're gonna have to give it back in 1997." And then she was like, I kind of don't want to. And then Deng Xiaoping was like, if you don't, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then that was like the famous Margaret Thatcher falling off the stairs.
Oh, is that where that meme from?
Yeah, she through after the negotiations, like the meme was she was so shaken that when she was coming down the stairs, from like the like the meeting they had in Beijing, she stumbled and fell.
Right.
Like, this
in
is
Chinese would just say "pokai."
Yeah, or whatever. Whatever. Right now, right. So Britain does not have any kind of say, or can they do anything, because at that time they realized that they couldn't do anything. So the only thing they could do is try to make it seem like like let's just come to it through civilized terms or whatever, right? So let's just no fighting. Let's just try to agree on something, right? And this is what they agreed on. For 50 years, China will have a hands-off approach to Hong Kong. So they won't touch its justice system. It won't touch the way that like the society functions or anything. It'll just leave it untouched for 50 years, right? Let them run their shit. And every so often, when the people in Hong Kong, like especially younger people, when they feel like China is trying to do something to them or like impose something, they get batshit insane. They riot. They come in. They flood the streets. There's a very weird like self-racism thing going on, a self-discrimination thing going on here, where it's like Hong Kong people look down upon Chinese people, kind of like how like a hardcore redneck American looks down on Mexicans. But you're like, it's racism, but against the same race in a way. So that's
kind of like North Vietnam and South Vietnam kind of thing, or West Side versus East Side.
Maybe
or like how I don't like Asians.
Yeah, you're messed up. Whatever ideology.
No, I don't like anyone.
The difference it makes sense why Hong Kong are protesting, or just being angry because it is infringing on their independence and people want to protect their sovereignty.
Yeah, except my whole take on it, and this is just my take, is like a lot of this protest is basically based on overblown fears, and it's very short-sighted. It's not even based on anything that's real or meaningful, and this is what happens when you build up this boogeyman on this other side of like I guess from Hong Kong on the mainland. You build that up to be a boogeyman. So anything related to the boogeyman, it scares you, it makes you angry, like anything that touches it must be evil. When most of these people, like this, right now, this protest is blown up so big, it has nothing really to do with the actual clauses of the extradition law anymore. And as you read the extradition law, just on paper, like the crime has to be serious, right? So for the extradition law to be considered, for someone to be considered for extradition, the other region or the other country has to the crime has to be committed in the other country that is punishable for up to 7 years, right? And also the warrant for that has to come from that area's the top legal body, right? So it would be like the Supreme Court, right? The Supreme People's Court or whatever, right? You can't get a warrant that just comes from like the equivalent of New York fucking district court. It has to be from the very top court. And also the top chief executive, the leader of Hong Kong, has to approve the extradition as well. And there's also specific safeguards for like the Hong Kong's their own rights and stuff. Like it can't be the crime cannot be political in nature. It cannot be related to like like the rights that are afforded to like a Hong Kong citizen, whatever.
But to criticize on the approval rating,
yeah.
They were saying that the person who's approving it, their superior are from China. So she would be pressured to approve things.
And here's here's the thing about that. Like, people are not remembering that Hong Kong is not a separate country. It is part of the People's Republic of China. It's just under its own special administrative region, right?
Yeah.
So if some crime is serious enough, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you will, if you like committed like a terrorist act in China and killed a bunch of people and then fled to Hong Kong, there's no way you can stay safe there. Like, there's no
you shouldn't be safe.
There's nothing on God's earth that can stop you from facing like punishment back on the mainland, right? So that's that. Well, even without this extradition law, this extradition law is for basically to prevent, from that girl from getting is to prevent this clusterfuck that happened with that girl that got murdered in Taiwan, right? If you're thinking about like, man, Hong Kong's supposed to be a separate place. It's not a separate place. Like, it is part of one country, and on the flip side of that, if you're just worried that you're gonna get arrested for watching porn in Hong Kong or like flipping the finger at like mainlanders or whatever, like, that's not what you're not gonna get. This will do nothing to you.
Yeah, for the common people in Hong Kong, I don't think they have a fear. It is sold to them as
but
that.
they do have a fear. They do have a fear, and a lot of them actually think that's what's gonna happen. Like, oh fuck, I can't watch porn anymore. Oh, I can't do any of these things I like anymore.
But what if, like, say China has some political agenda, and then use the bill and try to use falsify some type of crime and then extradite them to China, kind of thing, right?
Well, that's the thing
that's what they're scared of.
That's what I was like, because I probably know the least about this because I only read like a couple things on this.
Yeah.
But from what my understanding was beforehand, because I learned a ton of this more from this alone, I was like, they could be extradited just based on like if there is any suspicion of anything, like even anti-China, they could just take them away.
That is
questioning and such.
That is the accusation from the protesters, right? Like, they're saying this does not safeguard our rights enough. Like, China can do something like that. We don't trust them. That's the number one thing. We don't trust them. They assume that there is malicious intent on the mainland authorities, on the part of the mainland authorities. They want to do these. They want to scheme to get you, basically, right? And for them, it's not entire. For them, they completely believe it that if this passes, they're done. China can come in and fucking abduct and whatever, right? Like, but like the extradition law, like it's if you commit a crime in another area, like you staying in Hong Kong doing whatever crime, you get charged in Hong Kong in Hong Kong. Like, the whole point of the extradition clause, like this protest that started from the extradition clause, it doesn't even bear reality to it anymore because whatever the fuck you do in Hong Kong, it's like it doesn't cover, this extradition law does not cover that at all. It's if you go and commit a crime in another area. If you go to Macau and commit a crime, you go to Taiwan and commit a crime, you go to mainland China and commit a crime, and it's serious enough that they're giving you 7 years from the highest court authority, and then you're not automatically extradited either. The extradition order is sent, your chief executive has to approve it as well, right?
Yeah, that's where I see more justification for it, because versus the stuff I saw where it's just like very general overview. It's like, they could just take you.
It seems like a very specific bill, but people are extrapolating it to be more of a general.
It is mostly just blown up fears and stuff. And the thing is, on one part, on the most extreme part, like I said, if you did something serious, like commit a terrorist act, it doesn't matter if you have an extradition law or not. If it infringes on national security, which the basic law of Hong Kong, which is basically their main core legal, I guess, framework called the Basic Law of Hong Kong, stipulates that if there's anything that infringes upon national security of the People's Republic of China, the People's Republic of China has the authority and right to come and fucking and deal with it accordingly, right? It's already in there. If it's something that serious, the mainland will come get you. If you're just like fucking like just mooning like a portrait of the Chinese president, they're not coming to get you. It's not a national security issue, right?
Well, it depends where you do it, from my understanding.
I don't know. We have a president in the South, the U.S., and he called national security on just building a wall.
And it's which, yes, if Donald Trump was the president of China, yeah, you'd have reason to be extremely afraid of this shit, right? But like the reality of this is, if China wanted Hong Kong to be taken back tomorrow, when you wake up from bed, they could just do that. There's nothing that stops them. They have the power to, and literally, if that's what they're decided to, they could just do it. Right, both like snap of the fingers.
Do you think this protest almost encourages China to like accelerate their plans?
But what it will do is like, after 2047 rolls around, or whatever this 50-year grace period is supposed to be, they're just gonna be like, they don't care. They're like, your demands mean nothing to us at this point.
How much do you think things will change after that's over then? So 2047.
I'm pretty sure. Before like these past couple of years, before like 2010, I thought that they would just keep it going for a little bit longer, whatever. It's like, oh, why rock the boat, right? Like, there's no problems keeping Hong Kong this way. You know, the less headache for, you know, like if you're in a Chinese government, the less headache for you dealing with this. But after the umbrella protest in 2014, which was ridiculous by itself, and then now the protest now, that like both these protests that were massive were completely ridiculous and not even based in any material or like any like situational realities. And then at this point, the government would be like, you know what, fuck it. Like, what comes around, like, yeah, you just be another city. Like, fuck it. Like, what? They have all these, literally have all these privileges. There's no other part in the world where there is something like this, where there's other parts of the world where you have like separate systems under one country, but nowhere near as much granted under Hong Kong.
China's probably like, why can't you be like your sister,
they can
Macau?
Do a lot of, yeah, sometimes they're like that. Like, why can't you be more like Macau, you ungrateful fuck? Like, sometimes they're like that. Like people don't understand, like, hey, if you wanted to keep all your like privileges and your way of life right now, the best thing you could do is not just to piss off you know, the power that's giving it to you. It is by, like, what is that word? It's just by, like, whatever, the decision of China to keep everything as one country and two systems.
Definitely Hong Kong doesn't trust China because there's an article in, they have these transportation card, the octopus card.
Yeah.
And everybody were buying train tickets to go to the protest, but in cash. And there's not that many machines. So there's like long lineups to buy tickets for the train.
They're willing to stand in line to take the ride to protest.
And also the protest, because it was a lot of people that you, like, when you got out of the station, you had to like line up to protest. Like, it wasn't like you just couldn't go there to protest.
You kind of got to give them props for actually going through all that trouble to protest, because they were like, it's a huge crowd, you know, you're more like crammed more than shoulder to shoulder with everyone else there,
and
it's like you got the heat and the humidity and everything,
and also like and you know, it started as a silent or peaceful protest, and then some couple of idiots start riling up the police, and then suddenly you just get a war.
But I mean, with that many people, you kind of have to expect that.
Big protests like that usually always end up in some violence.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Chasing Summer or EDC concert.
Yeah, all these people, when they go to it, it's not like a joke to them. They honestly believe like that. This is the problem. Like, they're not like trolling, right? They honestly believe.
They're like, I'm ironically here.
They honestly believe that the extradition treaty will just destroy their way of life. That destroy everything and they're deathly afraid of it, and they really believe it. And it doesn't help that a lot of some lawyers on the opposition, the Pan Democrats they're called. That's like the kind of like the anti-China political party in Hong Kong. They go out there and they rile the crowd too. Right? They're like, protect your rights. If they do this, then, you know, like, you will be at the mercy of, you know, like.
I definitely saw them in social media. Like, I did read a bit of the fear mongering that there's this bill that was passed and that it will affect you even if you don't live in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And some of my friends on Facebook have that Hong Kong flag.
Like
supporting. It's kind of like the France. I think it was the France.
Yeah. Most people. So you see how big this is blown out of proportion to what the actual clause of the extradition law is. It's literally, it is the anti-China protest. It is not.
Yeah, it is.
It is
it
not.
Turned to be an anti-China.
It is not
protest.
Effectively an extradition law. It is an anti-China protest.
They probably asked the protester, "What are you protesting?" I don't know. I just don't like China.
That is mostly it. That is mostly it.
So,
but here's the thing.
Well, I was just gonna say, I doubt like all those people protesting. actually went through the trouble to actually like read up on what they are protesting.
Oh,
And the
they'd probably be like,
It's through word of
it's an
mouth.
excuse to get off work.
Yeah,
I
and
could
the
stay
lawyers,
here.
the lawyers that did read the law, they're doubling down on the fear mongering part. They say
get
like,
more work.
yeah, the clause. And it was in one of those speeches. One of the lawyers said, yeah, the clause says that the extraditing party, requesting extradition, needs 7 years of a conviction and like a punishment up to 7 years, and Supreme People's Court has to give it. But you know them, they can't be trusted. They will never follow through with that.
How come they sound like Seth Meyer or any late night show?
Right? Like that. it might be better to get like a late night TV
Yeah,
host.
Jamie Oliver.
Try to explain this shit. I don't know. It's such a sad thing where late night TV hosts you look to them to explain shit, right?
Well, for political news,
Yeah.
actually, I do look
Well,
at
I
late
mean,
night
that's
TV.
a fucking problem. But
So there could be some truth to that too. I mean, to seeing what extent that China actually uses this law or anything. I mean,
that is the fear, is that once you
Yeah.
give them the power, you can't take it
yeah,
back.
it's still legitimate fear. It's just you don't know to what extent they are going to exploit it or
right,
not.
this is to actually answer this question. We have to look at the history, right? Like everything is unknown unless you can see some kind of track record to try to give you information on to inform yourself, right? And then if we look at the track record from 1997 all the way to now, and also if we look at just the history, this is very recent history too, and I'm surprised that nobody mentions this. Under the British in Hong Kong, when it was under British rule, protests were not allowed. Any kind of political gathering was not allowed, and it was put down by force by the British authorities and the police in Hong Kong. This is in history, and they had a pretty big.
They probably
protest.
didn't want the anti-British.
They had a big protest in 1967, and this ironically was like a protest that in Hong Kong at the time wanting to rejoin China. This was a protest at the time.
Wait, what period
1967 protest was like
67. Oh,
the
okay.
protest where it was like Hong Kong patriotic leaning Hong Kong people, Hong Kongers, and also like Hong Kongers that were underground communist members and like pro-Chinese, pro-China, revolted against the British in 67.
Oh yeah, it's your foster family taking away from your birth
And
family.
then Britain put that down hard. Like 57 people died. There was a couple, like 800 whatever people injured, whatever. Right? There was no protest allowed in there, and also there was no extradition loophole because the British governor of Hong Kong had the authority to decide to extradite or not. When 97 rolled around, British governors obviously left, and also there's no way you could vote in a chief executive when the British were in charge because they didn't allow that. Everything was appointed by the British governor of Hong Kong. 97 rolls around, they vote for the first time in their history for a chief executive, give or take. It's
So
still
citizens voted?
It's still voting through legislative council, and then the legislative council votes for the chief executive, right?
Oh, okay.
But that's still it's nothing the British ever gave.
So represented.
97 rolls around. There's no governor. China does not install a governor to decide extradition or to act as the benevolent dictator as the former British governor post did. And for the first time in Hong Kong history, protests are allowed. And that is a distinction that is very important to make. Under the British, Hong Kong is not allowed to protest. After handover, the laws were reformulated for just to take into account the handover and the new government in charge. They allowed protests.
So the umbrella was the first protest?
No, they had other protests before. They had another one in 2003. They had some minor protests, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Right? They had a minor one. Then 2003 was like a protest on like what to include in the textbooks for like history textbooks, and they were mad because
These nerds.
they were mad because
They could have fabricated.
they were including more like pro-Chinese oriented history.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So
I
they
guess
rioted in the 2003 riots were because of that.
Maybe China should have started with porn. Like, why would no one would protest
Porn
against
is
that?
allowed in Hong Kong. You can
No,
watch porn.
like pro-China porn.
Because porn, porn is illegal.
Make porn.
And porn is a terrible way. But, anyways, the whole point is like these. It doesn't. Their fears doesn't really jive with reality. If you look at this long history from '97 all the way till now, like the Hong Kong has been afforded privileges that it didn't even enjoy under the British, under the one country, two systems kind of deal. So I don't know. The funny thing in Hong Kong now is like there's a lot of people that there's like a lot of young people that are like, oh, I wish we were under back then, the golden age, the golden days under the British, right? They'll fly the Union Jack at the protests, wishing that they were still under British rule, right? Not knowing, I guess, unless they're doing this ironically, that if they did that when it was under British rule, they would just get fucking arrested, right? So
they didn't have
the
that.
irony is thick.
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of like almost like anti-vaxxers in a sense.
If it's like the stupidity part of it, right?
I feel like anti-vaxxers are dumb, but yeah.
But anyways, the
Bold
fears,
statement.
The current fears right now do have some teeth because there are some people that had like crimes committed in the mainland, but since the mainland and then fled to Hong Kong, but then since they're in Hong Kong, they're like almost kind of untouchable for a while. So the mainland kind of lured some people back there to arrest them on mainland soil, right?
What did they use to lure them?
Fucking whatever.
It's like had the
It
girl.
was tricked. It was basically
It's like girls like, oh, okay, I need you to be a girlfriend to this criminal.
No, it wasn't
Get him
something
back
like
to
that.
China.
But it was more like just like we need you to come assist on an investigation or whatever, right? Or we need you to, we'll be lenient if you confess and you come back or whatever, right?
Or hey, you won a jackpot at
It's
the
like a
lottery.
deal.
There was
Please
actually-
claim your
and there's
prize
also-
at the China office.
Yeah, come back and claim your reward, please. And then go back and fucking arrest you. There was that one guy that was he fled the mainland after a hit and run accident, killed a girl, fled there. And lived in Hong Kong, made a living off of selling tabloid books, just slamming like the leaders on.
Oh
on
yeah,
China.
it was like the.
He was also a Swedish citizen too.
Yeah.
But basically, he got lured back to the mainland, and then they arrested him and put him on trial there.
I didn't know the origin, but I did hear about this bookstore
Yeah,
keeper.
the bookstore. The five bookstore guys are the big ones. That's why everybody's basing our fears on, right?
Oh.
And this is where it's like, you luring them back to try to arrest them, right? So everybody's
Yes.
worried that now they're gonna lure you back from
I didn't know
watching
he had
porn
that.
or some shit.
I didn't know he had this crime.
The
behind
crime
him.
was,
I thought he was just an innocent bookstore guy.
No.
that China just like, we have issues with this guy and this, abducted him.
See, right now, as it stands, Hong Kong is the haven for fugitives that are escaping, that want to flee mainland China. Like you do some whatever crime in mainland China, you flee to Hong Kong, and if you don't get caught at the border or whatever, you can stay in Hong Kong. You can't get extradited. Like this it's a pirate cove right now if you think.
Yeah, it's like the kids free zone. You can't do anything.
There's countless officials or businessmen wanted on corruption charges or fraud or whatever, big serious charges, but they've just fled with their money to Hong Kong and they just live comfortably there, right? These are the guys that will get screwed if the extradition law comes into place, right? So, but they can breathe a sigh of relief because there's a million people out protesting on behalf of them.
Are they behind a million? Like, are they the ones who are like, marketing it on social media and getting the?
Oh yeah,
Well,
there's a bunch.
I'm sure they're not for it.
There are some famous ones that are doing this exact thing, but they coach it under Hong Kong. Don't
very
lose your
clever then.
independence. Don't lose your freedom. Don't
So
lose your
are
human
all their
rights.
crimes like meeting those requirements, like the 7-year mark, or
A lot of
anything
them
like
would
that?
be, because if
Okay.
it's a businessman, you embezzled billions of dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
It's almost like Hong
Paid
Kong
off.
is ran by the criminals.
Yeah, just as long as it's not something like, they did a crime that would be like, 2 or 3 years in prison and then they're still going after them. Because then you start drawing that, like, you start blurring the line of who you can extradite.
There's no point because in China, they already have to deal, they're already filled to the brim dealing with these kinds of things, right? Like these small petty thefts or these small crimes for trying to get people. It's already hard enough to do it, to take care of it in your own country. You're not going to you're not going to go through all this trouble to get some guy that fled to Hong Kong. Unless it's something serious enough to warrant you to fucking extradite them, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Like, you watching porn or you just fucking stealing like $20 worth of whatever and then fleeing to Hong Kong, you're like, no one's coming after you for that shit. Especially if you're staying in Hong Kong and doing all this shit. It doesn't even apply to you at that point. But that's just the way it is. But On the Keep bookstore story, there was that one guy that actually legit faked his torture story. So there is one guy that he made big news, I think, last year in Hong Kong press, where he's like, I was abducted by mainland agents, security agents. They tortured me for hours. They stapled my legs, right? They put staples into my legs, and then they kept on questioning, and and then everybody was on it, like the anti-Chinese media faction of Hong Kong, which is like Apple News, and that there's a whole bunch of those news companies that are just, like anything China related. Rah, 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 rah. They're like, look at this man, this brave man that came out to talk. He got investigated by police because there was a lot of inconsistencies.
Wait, the police of China or
no, Hong Kong police.
Oh, okay.
Hong Kong police opened up an investigation and found out he lied about the entire thing. He stapled his own legs.
Oh God.
Yeah. And
well, he at least he went to that extent rather than just like.
Well, he needed pictures, like social media.
There's a lot of, and they were the ones that initiated, because there's a lot of inconsistencies with this story, and it doesn't sound like a typical. It doesn't sound like a lot of things were out of place. Like only his legs were stapled. There's no bruises anywhere else. Blah blah blah. His stories didn't match.
It's like the Jesse Small.
The cameras didn't.
They
even
do
catch
much
him
worse.
right? So then he got fucking called out for lying about going to China to get tortured. But that's just the minds. This is kind of like the environment right now. Like, you shit on China, you shit on anything China related, you make up stories, you're a hero over there, right? So it's like that's the environment. You're a hero if you do this over there right now.
Well, there's no country that I would actually trust with anything. Like you look at this, like any country. I'm just saying the states.
Even the states, right?
Yeah.
Now.
Well, that I don't want to go back to like just technology, but it's like, you go with Huawei, you get Chinese spy on you. You go with Apple, or Google, like American spy on you. It's like there's no good, like completely good country or corporation or anything out there.
Exactly.
So it's just how far they can kind of draw those lines, which is, as long as this doesn't get like the rules of the law and everything don't get blurred, and as long as they don't it met this requirement but not this one, but we're still gonna take this guy away or whatever.
As long as you don't get completely screwed by
the common man won't get screwed over by this, but I could see why they would potentially be afraid of it. But that's more so based off of like word of mouth kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, here's where we're gonna you can set like a good comparison to the protests that are still happening in France right now, right? In France, they're doing like serious fucking protests, and people are actually getting really hurt too. And what they're protesting about is actually rooted in material reality, right? It's not some kind of boogeyman they're afraid of. It's not something that
it's already happened
angry
to them.
at. It is actually literally hitting at them. Like it's hitting at their quality of life. Like people came out to protest because they're getting shit on. They're eating shit. So then that protest is that much stronger and that much like more real, and it's actually like people should go out and protest because it's not something made up. It's something like it's real. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can see it, right?
So are you saying that once the bill passed, that people should protest if they see people who are extradited?
Sure, yeah.
Wrongly?
That's actually much better than just doing it off of boogeyman. If mainland China, if the authorities actually abuse this thing, that is definitely reason. If you're from Hong Kong, then yeah, go protest. It's within your rights. Like the mainland government has like basically it's written in the laws to do kind of this. They're supposed to respect whatever your independent judicial system. And if they're abusing it and they're using it to just fucking get you for watching porn, right? For actually just watching porn or doing these petty crimes and whatever, and making fucking, I don't know, like leather bags out of you or whatever. Yeah, fucking that's for sure. You have to protest that.
I think
you have to fight. You'll have to fight that. You have to stand up for yourself. But to base a protest off of boogeyman, off of something that's not even real, and it's just based on like your own biases on it's basically frankly just discriminatory biases. That's not a real protest.
It's kind of like it kind of ties into like voting in a sense, because most of the people that do vote don't know the extent of the issues and everything, or like
like the Brexit.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. They don't know exactly what they're voting for. A lot of times it's like, oh, just for jokes, or you hear from word of mouth, you follow what your friends are doing or whatever. Like, if, oh, they say, oh, we're going to go to this protest, you'll be like, okay, sure, I'll go too. And you don't know the full picture of it. So it's like, a lot more of this should be more so just getting the actual information rather than just protesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, don't just do it because it's fucking hip, right?
Well, that's the power of social media.
Especially if you go to a protest and it turns violent. Like the one in France, the guy got his hand blown off by like a flashbang, right?
Yeah.
He was basically there just to fucking hang out with his buddies and just cause a little bit of ruckus. And then after that, fucking, he's known as Spaghetti Fingers, right?
Well, didn't he like try to like throw it back?
Yeah,
or something
he tried
like
to throw a flashbang and shredded his hand.
Oh man,
So-
I didn't. In Counter-Strike, it never did damage.
Well, I think I read that like France has different flashbangs than like most the rest of the world, where they actually have more explosives in it than like the other flashbangs used.
Oh, okay.
But still, enough that's like it's not lethal enough if it's thrown into a crowd, right? That was.
But yeah, it should be noted
he
like
picked it up.
yeah,
And
any
it shredded his fucking hand.
any flashbang though that you pick up, it's gonna be freaking burning hot. You're gonna lose skin at the very least if you try to touch a flashbang.
Like-
It is still a bomb in essence.
Like this shit
Yes,
is
it
serious,
is.
right? Like people you can't just go in there thinking, "Oh fuck, this is gonna be fun and whatever," right? If people are gonna go protest, you better know what you're protesting.
For Hong Kong, I think the intention was a peaceful protest. When it became a riot, that wasn't.
Anything when you
Yeah.
get that amount of people, you always bet your fucking money that
Yeah,
No.
they're
the lowest
gonna be
common
violent.
denominator. There is going to be a bad
Yeah,
seed. in
you
the
always
crowd.
got people that just come in to fuck up shit. Right?
Well, like not even just that. You could have like a totally, a person that's just out there for all good intentions, but you're super crowded, and with that kind of crowd, you're gonna feel people like shoving you and everything, just because people are trying to get around, and that's just gonna start pissing people off. You're gonna try to shove back, and then it's just gonna eventually start into something.
So I'm assuming the bill's going to pass. It doesn't seem like China is backing down.
No, this thing, the misconception is China didn't actually ask them for this extradition bill. They supported them once they moved it, once they like proposed this bill. Yeah, it's full support from the mainland government, but it's not like the guy in charge of the mainland Macau and Hong Kong affairs was like, you guys are going to push through a bill, right? Just massaging the shoulders and be like, and this is how you're gonna word it.
Freaking Emperor Palpatine here.
Right.
But like what
Do it.
what I'm thinking is once the bill passes and these Hong Kong protesters, they're just going to protest even more. Like they're just going to protest on everything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. Like I was telling our buddies of mine that are from Hong Kong, and they were like really sympathetic to the protesters. I was just being like a little bit too cold, but I was being completely honest. I told them if all 7 million, if by some odd reason everybody in Hong Kong lost their mind, all 7 million people, women, children, old people, toddlers, if they all came out to protest, hell, even if they took up arms against the mainland government right now, it's nothing. It will do absolutely nothing. Like the disparity of power is so lopsided. It's imagine if Mobile, Alabama took up arms against the entire United States, right? Like there's no conceivable way of you even doing anything like in extreme opposition. And I've read the news today that some of the leaders, the younger guys, they're like saying like, if peaceful protests aren't work, we're gonna resort to violence or some shit. Like the most dumbest fucking idiots on the entire planet. Like the second most powerful country in the world, with 1.4 billion people that are actually, like, there's no one. There's the vast majority on the mainland are not sympathetic to these protests at all, because like they don't like how the average Hong Kong person has discriminated against mainland people and having this view, and like they have these privilege. Hong Kong has these privileges that basically they're just shitting away at this point. They're like probably upwards of like 80% on the mainland support the government actually just fucking just fuck off of the whole deal of the two systems. Just make it one system already. Like they will gladly say like, hey, fucking like send in like 7 million riot police. the equivalent of, right? And the thing is, like, China has the resources. If you think about, hey, if I want to match one riot police for one citizen in Hong Kong, they could come up with the numbers and do it. It'll just be completely suppressed out. Like, there's no chance for forceful anything to work. If they really wanted to get what they want and to keep things the way they want and to get favorable terms for themselves, they should have been smarter. They should have like just compromised. They should have like fucking just take what you can, but also like just be reasonable, right? If you did it that way, Hong Kong after 2047, Hong Kong would maybe not be that much different because no one's gonna rock the boat. But if you're intentionally, preemptively rocking the boat on stuff that isn't even rooted in reality, like the protests in France are, it's just based on bullshit. It's just bullshit and like anti-whatever, just boogeyman bullshit. Like, you're not going to get what you want. And the harder you do it is not going to even matter. It is going to come down even harder.
So would you say Macau is China's favorite?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
It is. It definitely is. And there's a whole history behind that too. But basically the gist of it is they don't have that much of an anti-China feeling as much as Hong Kong.
How would Hong Kong compare with, like, say, Tibet and Taiwan? Like,
Taiwan is the big one. Tibet is in China right now. Like, it's a part of China now. Like, yeah. whether anybody likes it or not, it's been a part of China for like 300 years.
Similar to like Hong Kong, where there's people like we don't.
It's a little different because
China does not represent me.
Most of the Free Tibet protests will be outside of Tibet. It's either the biggest part is in India, where the former exile Tibetan government is.
Mm-hmm.
That fled in 1959. That's where their descendants live. It's in this place called Dharamsala in India, right? That's where the Tibetan exile government is. And then, hippies and Tibet sympathizers outside of China, they are the ones that have the loudest, Tibet protest voice. Inside China, you'll still have some people that were sympathetic to the old government or the old Dalai Lama, but majority, especially the Tibetans that were serfs back then in like a theocratic feudal Tibet, they are pretty much on the side of the government, right? Because they were serfs. They're not serfs anymore after liberation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan is another thing altogether because Taiwan is one of the flashpoints that can actually end a nuclear war, right? And it's not between China and Taiwan. It's between China and the United States. That's the whole Taiwan question hinges upon
Taiwan is
hinges upon what China and the United States does in regards to this island.
Right.
Right. That's it.
Well,
Taiwan is not unified with China right now because the United States is still the premier military power in the world.
Oh, okay.
But China is willing to go go all out if Taiwan ever officially declares independence. That's when all the chips are down and they're willing to go to war. They were willing to go to war like years ago, like back in the 90s when they wouldn't even stand a chance on the open waters against the Americans, right? But they were willing to go to war for that. Nowadays, it's way more closer. So nobody wants to really rock that boat too much.
But if China watched the election and how Russia was, meddling with the votes, shouldn't China have invested meddling?
No, because the Russian meddling with the votes is such a horseshit thing. It's like it means nothing. Maybe they did. Maybe they sent like some.
But what if Andrew Yang is part of this?
No, he won't
plan
do anything.
For like getting to Taiwan
he won't
back
do
to
anything.
China.
Like the whole Russian thing is so insane because you have like prominent people in the U.S. believing it. Like Russia meddled in the elections. That's why Hillary Clinton lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like some fucking guy, some Igor living in Vladivostok sends memes out, and that's fucking Russian meddling in the election.
Well,
right?
There's the whole Russian bots. There's that angle as well.
It doesn't even matter. Like the analogy I put forward is this: if like a serial killer cannibal was arrested or whatever, right, and he like ate and murdered 18 people, the equivalent is saying that, it's because he always sped too fast and got a lot of traffic tickets. That's why he became a cannibal. That's the equivalent of saying this Russian meddling did anything to influence the election. Like, if this serial killer just also liked the speed and collect a lot of speeding tickets, that does not mean that the speeding tickets are the cause of him turning out to be a cannibal and killing 18 people.
So you're saying that Russia
The Russian meddling
didn't do much.
It's
but
very
inconsequential.
it probably
it
still
probably
happened.
happened,
Right.
but it's so inconsequential, like Jason said, inconsequential that like it's like a cannibal getting speeding tickets.
Okay. So it didn't help, or it didn't work, I guess.
It does not. No, it's what Trump got elected because of serious problems
In the
facing
United
a lot
States,
of
yeah.
people in the United States, and he touched enough of a nerve that they voted for him. That's why.
Right. Okay.
Tons of people did vote for him and still back him. So, despite everything that's happened.
Yeah, he's fucking. He's got a
Though if
got a
I
strong
was
chance.
if I was China, I would totally meddle in the United States.
I
next
totally
election.
wouldn't. I just let them fucking just eat
Collapse on their
themselves.
own.
Just
Yeah.
They're already doing it by themselves. Just leave them alone and fucking see what they do.
And then they're like, Taiwan, you're next. Once the U.S. borders are down.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's the situation. You face with these places facing this situation. It's like, eventually you're gonna end up, like in China's situation. Eventually, Taiwan, Hong Kong, they're just gonna be integrated completely. How you want that to happen is up to you, right? Like, if you do it kicking and screaming, then we're gonna fucking knock you out before they take him back. If we talk about it and we compromise on stuff, you're gonna walk away with a lot more shit.
So we know the good child, Macau. What outside of Taiwan and Hong Kong being the bad child, has there been a child that was so bad that like China just stole them by force and it's like, this is an example of what happens when you fight against us?
No.
Okay, so Hong Kong might be the first example. Sounds
No.
like.
Well,
There is an example in India. If you ever heard of a place named Goa, Goa, that's literally the name of the place, Goa.
No.
It's kind of the same deal. It was like taken by force long time ago by the Portuguese. So the Portuguese like basically ran the city, kind of like how the British ran Hong Kong, or how the Portuguese ran Macau. They ran Goa. It was under Portuguese control. Then India got independence from Britain, and then I think it was in the 60s or whatever. India was basically telling Portugal, "Hey, we want Goa back," and then Portugal was like, "No,
All right.
nah," and then India was like, "Okay, fine, fuck you then," and they invaded Goa. They took it back by force.
Okay.
So like,
that'd be interesting. Something like that were to happen.
like,
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in '97, I do have a lot of friends who fled Hong Kong to Canada
Right.
because of the fear of China.
And the
taking
fear
them
back then was like, oh, they're not going to honor this 50-year agreement. They're just going to make it into a Chinese,
Yeah.
like, completely.
Well, it's the
mainland
fear of
city.
the unknown. They don't know what was gonna happen.
Right, they didn't know, and but the big fear that caused people to even leave, like a mass migration, was they're not going to honor any commitments. Right, that was the fear, and then what
Turns
happened?
out nothing.
Turns out nothing. They didn't. They honored their commitments.
I mean, turns out it's a slow burn. Like there's little political power shift and.
Well, technically not, because under the basic law, the wording of the basic law, and you
Right.
don't, and you this is literally the reading of it. Is not Hong Kong will be unchanged for 50 years. It says the capitalist system of Hong Kong will be unchanged for 50 years. It says that in Chinese. That's what it says. When newspapers try to quote the basic law I find in English, they leave that part out. It says in Chinese, 资本主义, capitalism. The capitalist system of Hong Kong will be unchanged for 50 years. So
Mhm.
they pull a fast one on you saying that, oh, they promised not to change anything in Hong Kong for these 50 years. That's not what the agreement even said back then. And it's up to them if they want to keep it for 50 years or not, right? If Hong Kong descended into anarchy tomorrow, they're just going to fucking kibosh the whole thing and bring them back under control to restore order, right? And there's nothing in there that says they can't do that. It's in there. It's even written in the basic law for Hong Kong.
Would you expect anything to change after the 50-year has
At this point, I
expired?
think they will. They'll just be like, you know what? You guys are fucking a bunch of fucking babies that just protest over anything. You're a city now. Guess what? Eat it. I would fucking eat it. Like that entire region around Hong Kong has now become like the next just one of the economic powerhouses that they're planning. A cluster of mega cities, right?
Yeah.
Hong Kong is like literally nothing compared to that entire region now. The Pearl Delta region, you have Shenzhen, you have like you have Zhuhai, you have all these places that are vying to be the next 100 million mega city cluster. Hong Kong is just that little fucking pimple that's there. For
Hong Kong is kind of irrelevant now.
It's like if you're living in Hong Kong and you see this, it's in your best interest to fucking play ball and play nice to get as much as you can for yourself when 2047 happens. Because, like, at this point, they think you're a bunch of spoiled brats, right? You're protesting over just boogeyman shit. Like, why would they give you anything after
If
that?
anything, they're just protecting that murderer.
It is. This is the most fucked up part.
And that murderer is like...
He's like, yeah!
It's like, I have friends.
Keep going.
I have a million
Please
friends.
keep going. For the love of God, keep going. Don't get off the streets.
Do people, like, know that guy's a murderer? Like, in Hong Kong? Do they still go dim sum with him?
He's in jail right now. He's in jail for a year.
Oh,
Like, he can
okay.
only... His sentence is only for a year.
Is he in Taiwan jail or?
No, Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Oh, okay. So
They
Hong
caught
Kong.
him for another crime,
Oh, that's the...
right?
Okay,
They
so-
can only stick that crime on him.
Oh, I see. Wow. So he's really hoping that this doesn't go through.
No shit. But anyways, yes, that's basically the whole thing.
What's... Any opinion on your side, Jason?
I learned a lot. Well, I didn't know nearly as much as that, so it's good to actually get some more facts on it.
And all this information's out there, but it's not going to be in a news article. Very, very likely, it's not going to be. They're not going to cover the nuances and what.
Well,
why.
for news articles, they probably won't
It's
go into the depth of
It's
it.
sensational.
They covered the riots. They covered the the mass crowding. They
Yeah, that's
something's going on, but we're not exactly sure what's going on. And it
that's what
seems
they're
kind of
gonna
big
give
deal.
just because there's they
That
could
sells
put
papers.
photos onto
Yeah.
it and like put just captions on because that's
and you
what
give them a David and Goliath story, right? David, the righteous Hong Kong citizen that just fighting for their independence and freedom and rights, versus Goliath, the fucking inscrutable China,
Yeah.
mainland China, right? That sells papers.
And then
show some
the-
pictures of protests.
The irony is David has no sovereignty. He is part of the Colossus.
He is part of Goliath.
He is part of Goliath. Yeah.
All right, yeah, we wrapped that. That was an hour long. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
our viewers will appreciate that.
yes, I know I do. Well summed up.
But I already have lots of like fucking bands.
Basically, don't change your Facebook profile because the sympathy is just stupid.
Well, either way, I've already caught some flack from my other friends for this kind of stuff. But
I'm sure they'll
banned
forgive
it.
you.
Well, no, they not anything personal, but it's like, of course, with something like this, when your like background and interests are aligned with like the opposing parties and stuff, you're gonna have some lively bants.
Oh yes.
But if you're not an asshole, that's not gonna ruin friendships. Fucking, I hate some people. You ever get them on Facebook? Like, anybody who doesn't agree with this, you can just unfriend me.
Oh yes.
Those fucking guys.
There's yeah, you either stand with me or stand against me kind of thing.
Yeah, those guys are not. The
Good thing
people.
I don't use Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
No, you use Twitter now.
Twitter now.
Freaking
Enjoy.
hell.
That's even worse.
Yeah, if you have any opinions on this, at verbal laxative.
Yeah, and address it to Jason only, please.
Well, just at verbal laxative.
For those Hassan fans of Twitter, too bad.
Hassan tweets
All
stuff.
right, and tune in for our next episode. We're gonna be celebrating our 1 year anniversary,
Woohoo!
give or take.
Well, you're supposed to be, it's still up in the air.
Yeah, maybe we'll celebrate our 1 year anniversary. Maybe not. Who knows?
Stay
Cliffhanger.
tuned.
Cliffhanger ending.
To Twitter at verbal laxative.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening again. Bye. What did I say last
Bye.
time? Something about letting it flow. I don't know.
You
The
wanna-
end.
Okay. Okay.
We all